Ippo's Dempsey Roll has gone through several evolutions over the series, from the basic left-right hook spam to whatever the hell the diagonal Dempsey Roll is supposed to be. It has a natural progression that won't stop now, and there's a high chance it will evolve even further. The fact is, with each new version, it keeps getting more insane than the last, and with the right setup, Ippo could perfect the Dempsey Roll to his fullest potential. Right now, he's about to spar with Ricardo Martinez and already has an anti-Martinez strategy planned, so there's a real possibility that we'll see the newest version of the Dempsey Roll in action. But before we get there, let's go back and analyze the first version of the Dempsey Roll that Ippo created. After losing to Date, Ippo spent his time exclusively watching Mike Tyson fights. Since their styles were so similar, he wanted to imitate how Tyson fought. He trained his weaving speed vertically and adjusted his hooks by shifting all his weight into his legs, and by pure chance he ended up mimicking the Dempsey Roll in his comeback fight. Kamogawa saw this and decided to turn it into Ippo's ultimate finishing move. Saito caught wind of the Dempsey Roll and tried to shut it down by clinching, but he still lost after eating 3 of them, including the liver blow and gazelle punch combo. From that point on, Ippo used the Dempsey Roll in almost all of his fights, taking down fighters like Sanada with the same deadly combo. Against that Korean boxer, he almost got countered but still managed to finish the fight with the Dempsey Roll. The first real weakness of the Dempsey Roll, however, showed up in Ippo's fight with Shimabukuro. This dude was just a tank, huge, hard-hitting and built to absorb punishment. His strategy was just to exchange hooks with Ippo whenever he unleashed the Dempsey Roll and see who lasted longer. It turned into a battle of endurance, and in the end, Ippo proved he could take more punishment than Shimabukuro. This fight was the first big exposure of the Dempsey Roll's massive flaws. If the strategy is right, it can be countered easily. That's why, in the build-up to Ippo's fight against Sawamura, he knew the Dempsey Roll wouldn't work. Sawamura was a skilled outboxer specializing in counters, so they needed to figure out exactly how the move could be countered. Thankfully, while Volk was still in Japan, the boys got their answer. They discovered that the Dempsey Roll creates this tunnel vision. You have to step back to fully see Ippo charging in with his hooks before countering him. Volk tested this out and nearly unalived Ippo on the spot. But Volk's efforts weren't in vain. Ippo experimented to see if he could stop mid-hook while using the Dempsey Roll and realized it was possible. The problem, however, was he nearly tore his leg muscles doing it. This led to the second evolution of the Dempsey Roll, aka the Dempsey Counter. Ippo had limited use of this move. He could only pull it off twice per fight, but still managed to use it 3 times in his brutal match against Sawamura, sending him straight to the hospital for many months to come. From that point on, there was a major shift in how Ippo used the Dempsey Roll. It became way less frequent in his fights, and when he did use it, he no longer just spammed hooks endlessly. Instead, he used it to land decisive blows or simply to intimidate opponents. In his fight against Wally, for example, he weaved in extremely fast, landed 1 hook and then countered Wally instead of going for a full-on Dempsey Roll. The next evolution of the Dempsey Roll came in Ippo's first Pacific match against the Thai featherweight champion Jimmy Sisfa. Ippo attempted the Dempsey Roll, but Jimmy's wild, reckless charge made it impossible to land. Kamogawa suggested that instead of trying to hit Jimmy directly, Ippo should use the Dempsey counter, but this time weave in and throw an uppercut himself. Ippo obliged, nearly tore his leg muscles again, but in return sent Jimmy flying with a single punch. This marked the first appearance of the uppercut Dempsey combo, or its official name, the horizontal Dempsey Roll. But it still wasn't perfect. Kamogawa wanted Ippo to figure out how to refine it himself, because the move wasn't just dangerous for his opponents, it was also a serious threat to Ippo's own legs. The last time that the original Dempsey Roll was used was in Ippo's infamous fight against Alfredo Gonzalez. In that fight, whatever strategy Ippo tried against Alfredo simply didn't work. He just got beaten up hard without landing a single punch. When nothing worked, Ippo unleashed the Dempsey Roll, which only made Alfredo angrier, making him reckless, throwing punches in close range to counter it. In this intense exchange, Ippo used the Dempsey counter for the second time, but Alfredo barely survived thanks to a last-second clinch. Ippo ultimately lost to Alfredo Gonzalez, and while training the Dempsey Roll afterwards, he attempted the uppercut combo again, and almost tore his leg muscles apart again. Realizing the move wasn't ready, Ippo decided to upgrade the Dempsey Roll entirely. He trained his lower body to its absolute limits until it could handle this savage finisher. He first tried using the horizontal Dempsey Roll against Aoki and got dropped instantly, so he trained even harder and tested it against a no-name boxer. Ippo threw punches from unusual angles, first landing landing vertical hooks before launching deadly uppercuts. But there was a flaw. Ippo had to stay at a fixed range for it to work. That's when Kamigawa stepped in and told Ippo to stop thinking in just horizontal or vertical punches, and said he should punch diagonally. That way he could use the momentum of the diagonal punch to stabilize himself and smoothly transition into another uppercut or a diagonal punch. Since Ippo had already trained for both horizontal and vertical movements, adapting to the diagonal Dempsey roll was easy for him, and unlike the previous versions, this one allowed him to move freely between punches, which is why it's also called the free roam Dempsey roll. It took the best part of the horizontal and vertical Dempsey rolls and fused them together, turning Ippo into an unstoppable force. However, we never actually got to see its full destructive power. Ippo only used the diagonal Dempsey roll in his last fight against Antonio Guevara, and his only goal was to display the technique to everyone. But unfortunately, the years of accumulated damage to his head caught up to him, and he lost, leading to his retirement. Now in the story, Miyata's set to spar against Ricardo Martinez, and I'm betting everything that Ippo will somehow get involved. Why, you may ask? Well, because he randomly developed an anti-Martinez strategy for no reason at all. My guess is that Ippo will unleash the diagonal Dempsey roll during the spar, just like how he used the original Dempsey roll in his first spar against Martinez back when he was the Japanese champion. It would be a perfect callback, but this time it would actually show Ippo's growth as a boxer, that he can keep up with Martinez in front of everyone. That said, I also believe Martinez will find a way to counter the diagonal Dempsey roll. Because let's be real, it's Ricardo freaking Martinez, and it will reinforce the idea that the Dempsey roll still isn't complete. The only downside of the diagonal Dempsey roll is that it could become predictable. Since Ippo needs to charge his punches beforehand, it leaves a perfect window for a counter. During Ippo's last fight against Guevara, the only reason he couldn't connect the diagonal Dempsey roll was because of his accumulated brain damage. His sense of range was completely off, and while the punches were so strong that they instantly knocked Guevara down, he wasn't actually able to showcase the full force of the move, and in a decisive exchange, Ippo got countered. Countering Ippo during this finisher is the only way to escape it, but since it's an instant downer move, you'd have to risk your life to pull it off. If Ippo eventually returns to the ring, he will have to fight Ricardo Martinez, and since it's Ricardo freaking Martinez, we already know he's going to counter the diagonal Dempsey roll, so Ippo will have to evolve it even further beyond its current form. I've already made several videos on Ippo's post-retirement progress, and one of the biggest improvements he's made is his ability to think several steps ahead. He now fights with calculated strategies, evades attacks, parries punches, and has maxed out his defense. So what if the final stage of the Dempsey roll isn't about making it stronger, but about eliminating its weaknesses? Ippo's entire post-retirement growth has been about fixing the flaws that held him back. After each loss, his first instinct was always to increase his power and finish fights faster. But this time he could use the parrying skills to deflect incoming punches, feint his attacks since he charges them out beforehand, or even use the diagonal weaving purely to dodge instead of throwing punches. This would finalize Ippo's evolution, not just as a boxer, but as a fighter who has fully mastered the Dempsey roll, removing its biggest disadvantages once and for all. If you have enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more Ippo content. I'm the Reading Crow, and thanks for watching.